Hello everybody and welcome back to RogueTech, where we are currently defending this VTOL facility, and we need to deal with this lance that dropped like directly on our artillery unit, which is mildly awkward. They literally spawned in these positions. And then there's this lance out over here, which our allies have already helpfully lobbed a few mines at. That's great. We of course eliminated a lance up over here last episode, but our Wraith moves now. None of these guys have moved at this time. Hello, pause menu. So I want to reserve. And we'll see what our allies end up doing here. I'm not expecting too much out of this, but we want to let these guys hold off for a bit. There's a lot of units right now, and so the frame rate is not phenomenal, that is for sure. But I mean, it's RogueTech. There's not much we can do about that, unfortunately. Unity is creaking under the additions added by the modders at this point, I'm afraid. So the bomber moves forward, and let's see what we get out of that. Wow, a structure exposure on that Clint right out of the gate. And a head hit.
Went internal.
Keep in mind, that thing had 12 evasive pips there. That was pretty unlikely. So that's this Clint out over here. Also, I believe we took some damage somewhere. Yeah, in the Shadowhawk. That took some internal damage from stray shot there. So the ultralight Mars carrier moves up into those mines and fires on this Mad Dog, getting quite a lot of area effect damage there, actually. So I mean, we do need to take out those Mars carriers, right? Absolutely. Let's see what this Lindworm does. It goes for the Dervish. It gets a couple of hits in there. But with 12 evasive, it's not going to get all that much done. So that is reasonably expected. Okay, next up is going to be this Lindworm. And we'll see what it decides to do. Things will go... Actually, it's a UAV. This Lindworm actually just moved. Gotcha. So next up is us. We still don't want to move here. So I'm going to reserve us again. And there are a few more allies, but as we get through the VTOLs, things will get a little bit quicker here. So now it's going to be this Nidhogg, and we'll see what that decides to shoot at. I would prefer this Clint, I think. Yeah, definitely. I would prefer that Clint. And it just chose to not shoot at anything at all. Okay. Well, that's fine. We're definitely going to send, I think, the Apollo and the crossbow. If we can scroll over here. We're definitely going to send them to start taking out these ultralight Mars carriers. Those do gotta go. No doubt about that. Okay. Not a lot of damage there, but yeah, we'll do that, and the rest of our units are going to be engaging these guys over here. That's the idea here. So that'll be absolutely fine. How much armor do those ultralights have? Actually, that's barely any. Okay, noted. They are indeed ultralight. So they're firing on this Clint with a PPC. That could clear some mines, but I don't think there are any mines in that direction. So that doesn't really do anything. A little bit more damage to this Dervish here and starting a bunch of fires, which is honestly kind of unhelpful for us. We really don't want those fires, and that happened to us on the last lance as well, but it's fine. So what is next at this point? That'll be the Axeman. Okay, so the Axeman moves out over here. Are you going for... Oh, you're shooting at the medium reinforced building. Remarkable. I expected him to go for the hoplite there. I would have gone for the rear arc melee attack with the Axe AC-20 into the rear arc attack of the hoplite. Now, to be fair, and possibly why it chose not to... Oh, new mines out over here? Ugh, disgusting. To be fair to it, the reason it might have chosen not to do that is because that would expose its rear arc, but it could have potentially one-shot the hoplite there. So at this point, I want the Wraith to position over here. Specifically because I want to fire the PPC at this Axeman. I'm going to fire everything else as well. We may stray shot the hoplite, but I'm okay with that. What I want is to clear these mines out of here. So we'll fire on the Axeman there. We know from last episode that it did successfully clear the mines out, but it took a while to visually update that. So that's okay. We'll fire on that Axeman, and we'll see what we get done next. So the Mad Dog is moving out of the fire into different fire, moving through its own mines, and attacking this Weaver. And getting, honestly, very little done there. It got a few hits, but that wasn't very much. So that's fine. Now is going to be when this Cicada moves. And this is going to tell us what we're going to do with our hoplite. So let's see what the Cicada does. It runs out of the minefield and just kind of runs away. That's intriguing.
Yes,
No doubt about that. So the Apollo is going to want to head out this direction. We do get an unobstructed LOS on this ultralight Mars carrier. I don't expect very good hit odds here. We just sprinted. It's obstructed LOS. So yeah, that's unsurprising. But let's just start softening this ultralight Mars carrier up a little bit. There we go. Next up is going to be our Black Knight. The Black Knight wants to engage down this direction. So ideally, I'm just thinking about where we'd want to be. I feel like we want the Black Knight to be up over here, engaging this Clint. The hit odds are abysmal on that. I don't know if we failed our sensor roll, but this is where I'm going to put it. How's that going? Target move plus 12. Oh, right. They haven't moved their Clint yet. I thought about reserving this, and I didn't because I thought that this Clint had been moved, but it hadn't. Right, that's my own fault, but we did get that medium rifle out of there, so we got that arm lasered off anyway. We'll take that. That was definitely non-optimal, but it'll be okay. So, we're going to have an allied unit moving here. I believe that to be this Nidhogg. We'll see what it does. I think it should go for this Axeman, but I don't love the choice because it could easily stray shot us. It went for the Clint, and I think that's the worst choice because it has 12 evasive. We know that. We just saw that. So, yeah, I feel like that's a bad choice. But it'll move very shortly here. And our Shadowhawk will move after it, which is pretty ideal, really. Wow, that Clint has really weak front armor. It's firing on this Nidhogg. I don't care about that. My question is, do we care about where we hit this thing from? Because if we look at this, 16 armor in that CT, honestly, we're better off hitting it from the side. So we've got this Trebuchet over here. I want the Trebuchet to head down this direction and continue to hit these ultralight Mars carriers. So we're going to continue to soften these up. There we go. We need to get closed in and get better LOS over there is what we really need more than anything. But at this point, I want to position... Okay, yeah, here will do. I want to position here, and we're going to hit this Clint. I believe this to be its strong side, but that's okay. Honestly, this thing has really weak armor anywhere we slice it. So, go ahead and fire on it. Nice. We got a head hit there, and we made the Clint unstable. So that's absolutely wonderful. Really, really decent shot there. Could have been better, and that is actually on the weak side, so that's fine. This Dervish is moving up, and it has been softened up. Okay, firing on the Lindworm. That's fine for now. So at this point, we can move our Centaur. And where do we want to move our Centaur? Well, I don't want to sit in this bit of mines, but I feel like we have to. And we can just fire straight on this Clint. This will probably end up killing it.
Giving him everything I've got.
Torso destruction. Yeah, there we go. One dead Clint.
That's one
fantastic.
less hospital on the
7 to go. Okay. Next up is going to be our hoplite. So, we have a few slightly awkward options with the hoplite. It's really close in here, right? So if we were to go for the Axeman here, it's not a hatchetman, it is an Axeman. We could get the rear arc punch here. Hit odds on that are only 23%. Alternatively,
Ready to rock.
we could position ourselves out over here. We would need to sprint for it. Even then, it would have to be in the fire. Okay. I don't like this position as much then. The idea was going to be we position here and go for the dervish rear arc. I don't love it. I'm going to do it anyway. It's very awkward where they spawned, right? So we'll just have to take this as is. We could try to fire the Thumper in black mode here. I really don't think it's worth it. We'll just take this rear arc shot. It's not great,
10-4.
but we were in a terrible position for them to spawn right where they did with our artillery mech, right? Alternatively, we could have fired our Thumper out at the vehicles, but I really feel like we need to get these under control. But it probably would have been more effective than what we ended up getting there. Yeah, in retrospect, I wish we had. That probably would have been for the best. At any rate, one of those vehicles is moving now. Yep, and there's that BTR. Getting more fire in here. Okay, that's just what we need. Perfect. So the crossbow at this point could absolutely engage over here. We do need to deal with that axeman. I think we do. I think we fight this axeman here. We are hitting it strong side, but that's reasonably okay. Let's just soften it up. It won't be the strong side after this. Cool. So that'll do. Next round, let's see what our allies end up doing here. It's going to be very interesting indeed. What way are we facing here? There we go. This is back to approximately the correct direction. These VTOLs, of course, take a while to calculate what they're going to do. But there's only so many of them. 5, to be precise. So what are they going to do here? Fire on that MTR carrier? I mean, that's a good thing. More mines out over here is not the worst thing in the world. Next up is our Centaur. And I would love to get the Centaur into a position where it can attack that Axeman. This is going to take burn damage, but we'll just work on softening up the Axeman's front arc here. These hit odds are abysmal. Failed our sensor roll. Okay. Well, we'll see what we get done here. We'll stray shot the hoplite a little bit, but we did make the Axeman unsteady and softened up its front arc a little anyway. It'll be a while before it gets to move, phase 14, but we'll see how much we actually get to make use of that. I'm expecting the VTOLs, now that this Axeman is unsteady, to focus it pretty hard. We'll see if that ends up happening. The Trebuchet absolutely hits it from that weakened side arc. Structure exposure, double heatsink destruction. I like it. That's looking quite solid there. Pilot is currently panicked. That Ifrit is moving in. And that is one dead Axeman. I love it. It never really got a chance to do much damage. That's very, very good. So next up, of course, we've got this Dervish, and that's probably the easiest target to hit. And then we've got this Cicada out here, which is kind of cornered. Where's it planning on going? Does it have jump jets? I don't think it does. So we'll see what it does. It's moving right now. So that'll be very interesting. Going for the medium reinforced building of all things. Okay, I don't think that's a good call. I really, really don't. So at this point, the Karnov is moving in and not doing anything at all. Next up is going to be one of these vehicles, possibly one of those Mars carriers. Yeah, it'll be this ultralight Mars carrier that we've softened up a bit here. That thing will die very, very soon, to be clear. So it's continuing to bombard our base a little bit, but honestly, it's not going to take all that much damage.
Not much armor left of that.
We're fine. No concerns at all here. Next up, a UAV. Okay, I really don't care about a UAV. Who's moving now? This is phase 17. It'll be another one of those vehicles. That's okay. Actually, it'll be the Weevil. Firing on this structure here, this medium reinforced building. That's completely fine for the moment. So the dervish doesn't move until phase 14. It only has the one evasive right now. It's very vulnerable here, so we'll definitely look to take it out. I really wish that our allies hadn't have mined up the entire area where we're trying to defend the base. Like, where the defenders are. Please don't do that, Steiner. That's a bad idea, for the record.
Losing armor.
Yeah, those ultralight Mars carriers are not doing all that much damage to the base, really. I want to head in about here with our Wraith, and we're going to position to attack the Dervish, almost certainly. Yes. So we're going to attack the Dervish here. This will be a slight overheat. We'll take it. Nice structure exposure there, taking out that arm. And the SRM-2. I like it. We do, of course, overheat a bit there, but that's to be expected. So next up, phase 16 here, that is going to be... Who's that going to be? This Nidhogg, I guess. Does not fire. Okay.
Receiving you.
So next is our Trebuchet, and I would like to position the Trebuchet out over here-ish. We're having a hard time getting visuals out this way, but we do get a visual on this Weevil, so we're probably going to end up firing on that. It doesn't have a lot of overall armor.
Copy that.
Structure exposure and a heat sink destruction. Not bad.
Reporting. Critical hit.
Not bad at all. Okay, so what is next over here? That'll be this Nidhogg, the Gauss Nidhogg. I would love to see that attack this Dervish. That would be the ideal target. We'll see what it does. Nothing at all. Okay, that is not ideal.
Orders.
At this point, the Hoplite basically needs to come over here and kick the Cicada. That's the only real thing to do here at this point. Sure, we'll fire the LRM. It's 30% hit odds, which is remarkable for a melee attack. Do it. The Cicada is quite vulnerable here if we succeed this kick, and we do. So that's great. The Cicada is, in fact, very vulnerable. That's the leg destruction? Okay, Cicada's dead.
Critical hit.
It just doesn't know it yet. So it'll get knocked down there. Excellent. So that Cicada is in serious danger. Also in serious danger is this Dervish. So we'll bomb the Dervish a bit. Looks good. And that's actually just a straight up kill on the Dervish from an LRM ammo explosion. I love it. That's great. This is cleaning up very nicely. So next up is our Apollo. The Apollo obviously needs to get some sort of LOS here. I guess we can get an LOS up here. It's not great. These guys are sticking into this low area, and that's good positioning on their part, to be clear. We'll continue to hit this Weevil. This could theoretically take it out, but we'll see. We see an engine crit, ferrofibrous destruction. We took out the UAC-5. That Weevil's not doing so well. It's now unsteady. So the Lindworm is going to not do anything at all.
Waiting for orders.
Sure. Can we get the Black Knight into position to attack that Cicada? The answer is no, so we're instead going to position it out over this direction to help out over here. Obviously, LOS is going to be a problem over there as well. So next up is going to be this hover tank and the Lindworm here. We'll see what those end up doing. Okay, that's an attack on the Cicada. Getting some armor damage there. That's not bad. So next up is the Mad Dog. Okay, yep, that's fine. Also going for the Cicada, that is a good call. Torso destruction. And that's a dead Cicada. Perfect. That's exactly what we were looking to have happen there. Beautiful. So,
yes,
that is our rear arc taken care of. Our rear arc is now safe. We can't sprint with the crossbow. Okay. I don't know if this just hasn't calculated yet, or if we just can't sprint.
Ready.
I guess we just can't sprint. Correct. For whatever reason, it's not letting us sprint. That's okay. We can just move out over here.
Roger that.
And we can lob some LRMs at whatever our hit odds are highest on. 10% is not great on the hit odds here. What else do we have? 10%, 20% on that Weevil. And that could easily take out that Weevil. Yep, we definitely hit the Weevil here. Okay, let's go. And it's out of here. Phenomenal. 3 to go. Okay, next up is our Shadowhawk. There's not much that the Shadowhawk can do other than, like, sprinting its way up over here. That'll be fine for now. It gets a couple of landmine explosions, but that's not the end of the world. And next up is going to be, I believe, this MTR carrier. Yeah, this could be mildly annoying. We'll see what it does. It'll take some mine damage there. Not a lot, but some. Not getting all that much done there. I like it.
Reporting. Minimal damage.
So next up is our Centaur. The Centaur is really not going to get anywhere useful. We can just sprint it here for now, and it'll take a bunch of mine damage. It'll take a bunch of burn damage. Not much we can do about that, except for just keeping the Centaur out of the fight, which I would prefer not to do. A little bit of damage here isn't going to be a big deal. Trebuchet firing on that MTR carrier, getting kind of decent hits there. Okay. Karnov moving and not doing anything at all, really. Next up is going to be this guy here, the Ultralight Mars carrier. If we can get panned over. This frame rate, while it's calculating, is not phenomenal. And that, ultimately, I believe, is... Like, I'm not an expert on this by any means, but I believe that that is the fact that, like, all scripting content on Unity tends to run on one thread. So I think that's the core problem with that and why that's happening. So next up, the Apollo needs to move here. I would like to move it down the hill a little bit. Unfortunately, that's not really an option. We can position it here, but we still have indirect LOS. Best hit odds are on the MTR carrier, so we'll just soften it up a bit. But we're not going to get too much done there. LOS is very difficult on this hill, it seems. And... yeah, it's just very rough terrain here. They're just hiding in these low portions. So that's what's going on there. Fair enough. So next up is going to be what unit here? Swiftwind? Okay, I really don't care about that. Dropping a few additional mines out there is not really going to do all that much, to be honest. Okay, 4 Steiner units moving now. There's only the 3 enemies remaining, so they pretty much have to be heading out this direction. The Nidhogg is really kind of being useless. I don't know why it's not been firing. It's got the Gauss rifle ammo still. I don't know. UAV is moving out to do a little scouting, but we don't really need it to do any scouting, so there's that. Okay. Next is going to be this Ultralight Mars carrier, and then we'll get a bit of a chance to move. Perfect. We've softened a bunch of these up. It gets some burn damage there, as well as some mine damage. They're going for this medium reinforced building, but they're mostly just getting AoE damage, and
barely a scratch.
They're not doing very much, to be honest.
Confirmed.
Our hoplite can pretty much just stay where it's at, turn this direction, and lob a thumper artillery, like, at this MTR carrier. I don't really care all that much where it ends up hitting. Okay. Clears out some mines there, but does absolutely nothing. That's fine. Do we get a knockdown? We do not. Okay. So now we've got a Steiner unit here, and the Mad Dog could move here. And it does. Firing on that Ultralight Mars carrier. Continuing to soften its armor up a little bit. All we need is a nice clear shot on it. Unfortunately, I don't think our crossbow gets one of those, but we can position here. And they're still hugging those low points. Which, again, is good movement on their part. So we're going to hit this MTR carrier.
Taking the shot.
Continuing to soften it up a bit. We just chose the one that was highest hit odds there, because the odds of actually killing one of those is extraordinarily low right now. So we're just looking to soften it up a bit. We do get direct LOS with our trebuchet from here on this ultralight Mars carrier. Unfortunately for us, that's a lot of malices. Target moved, moved itself, enemy effects, size delta into forest, from forest, medium range. Yep, we'll just do what we can. We'll soften it up. It is indeed a lot of malices. It's very hard to get visuals on these. So next is going to be our Black Knight. The Black Knight is not really able to get anywhere useful. We can just position it up over here for now. And that'll do. Next up is our Wraith. And that also really can't get anywhere very useful. It's a little overheated. I can sprint it out over here, and then we'll just let the fire burn out of it. That's okay. Next up is going to be our Shadowhawk, which should sprint up over this way. It actually gets a direct LOS from here on this ultralight carrier. Wow, okay. Yeah, fire those MRMs. We'll see if we get at least some damage in there. And we did, so that's all good. We just need to get visuals on these guys with our fire support, and they will die very quickly at this point. Of course, the Steiners are slowing us down a bit with their very long to calculate VTOLs that are at this point doing more harm than good. Arguably, they kind of spent the whole mission doing more harm than good. They had a couple of very solid hits there, but these fires and the mines have been pretty unhelpful. But they did have a couple of very solid hits, so I guess we can't really say they've done more harm than good, but they've not done exclusively good. That's for sure. So next up is, of course, going to be that MTR carrier. It moves forward here. This is a terrible target for it. I don't know why it chose the Mad Dog. Mad Dog's kind of out on its own, and it got no splash damage there. So our Centaur can start to cruise forward here. Do we get an LOS out over here? No, we don't. But that's fine. We can just position here for the time being, and we can take a look at these LRM hit odds. We're going to run out of LRMs very shortly, but let's toss some LRMs at this MTR carrier. Yeah. We're just softening it up a little bit. We're not surprised. We're not surprised that that doesn't hit. We're also out of LRMs, which is also not surprising. So next up is going to be one of these VTOLs, which probably... Actually, it's a trebuchet. That might actually do something here. That's quite a bit of damage into the armor of that MTR carrier, actually. The Ifrit moves up, doesn't do anything of note. Karnov moves up. They're now starting to calculate a little faster, so that's good. Maybe not this one. This is phase 18, so that's going to be like this UAV here and the Mantis VTOL. That seemed like a reasonable hit there. That was a narc. I like it. And the UAV is moving forward now. So phase 17, this is going to be the ultralight Mars carrier here. And these guys are definitely starting to lose their positioning advantage. No doubt about that. The Black Knight is not a terrible target for the Mars here. There's a fair number of targets in this vicinity, and they do hit their primary objective as well. That's not bad. We're going to position the crossbow here. It still doesn't have direct LOS, but we're not shocked about that. 24.8, 19.8, and 15.1. Okay. We are going to fire directly on this ultralight Mars carrier, and it's possible that we eliminate it here. Not necessarily the most likely thing in the world, but we actually do. I like it.
Hostile removed.
And then there were two. So let's see what our ally ends up doing here. There's a lot of allied units. No doubt about that. I don't think this is a VTOL, though. I think this might be their tank. I'm looking for the phase 17 here. This Swiftwind. Yep, okay. That's fine. I guess it's going to drop more mines over here. Sure. That's completely okay. We don't care about the mines out over here. We're not trying to actively fight in that location. So that's fine. They have to progress out of this location, and we don't have to go into it. So we don't mind mines over here. Over here, on the other hand, mines were pretty bad at the base. So this Mad Dog is going to move forward and fire on this Ultralight Mars. It could eliminate it here, and it does. Beautiful. And then there was one. And this last one is not going to stay alive very long, given the withering hail of fire that's about to come its way. We're going to drop a Thumper on it and fire our LRM-15. This thing doesn't have much left in terms of armor. Unfortunately, that Thumper was a mediocre hit at best, and we did take a knockdown there, but that's not shocking. It was only a matter of time.
I took a hit in the meat.
Yeah, you're okay. This Lindworm moves up, fires on that MTR carrier, and actually it exposes the structure there, but it doesn't get a kill. Surprisingly.
Good to go.
So our Trebuchet will finish the job. This is ideal range right here, right in that weak flank. Whatever the weak flank was. Both flanks. Okay. Cool. Let's finish this thing off.
Victorious.
There we go.
Show them what you've got.
Phenomenal. So that is all done. We wiped out the Op4, and we get a bonus for doing it before reinforcements show up. That's great. Absolutely phenomenal. I didn't look to see how far away the reinforcements were. I kind of wish I had, but I don't know how far away they were. I don't know how many more turns we had. I'm going to guess like 3 or 4. It felt like we had quite a bit of time there. So arguably, we might want to think about going to a higher difficulty planet. I think it's not a terrible concept. Especially once that Rifleman comes online. We've got a good amount of cash right now. We need to get some repairs done on a lot of different mechs here. Maybe we should. We could grab a Black Knight out of that, or the Grasshopper, and I think the Grasshopper is what we take here. Yeah, I think we take the Grasshopper as a bit of a replacement for the Wraith. We definitely aren't going to get that Black Knight. Maybe we take the Axeman, actually. Now that I think about it. The Axeman might be a better replacement for the Wraith. I do want this to be like a heavy skirmisher / cavalry, though. It does have a space for a ballistic weapon. So we've got 4 laser and a ballistic weapon with the Axeman. With the Grasshopper, we've got a missile, a ballistic, 6 laser hardpoints. I think we go for the Grasshopper. Absolutely. Beyond that, we could grab an AC-10. And we could grab a ferrofibrous armor. A lot of this we're not very interested in. So maybe just parts beyond here. So disassemble all. And from here, we could grab a couple of Black Knight parts. Something like that. Okay, that'll do the trick. I like it. So we got a Grasshopper out of that. That'll need some time to repair. And we'll need to get that refitted as well. So I think what I'm going to do is we are going to tell Yang to go ahead and repair, but we're going to need to refit that Grasshopper, and I think we travel to a more difficult world at this point. That will be a next episode sort of thing, refitting the Grasshopper and traveling, so that will end up happening in the next episode. I'm not expecting this to be a huge amount of repair here, although getting that Grasshopper repaired could be interesting. But I absolutely think this would be a phenomenal replacement for the Wraith. The Wraith is not a bad mech, but it's just not a good mech, right? It's got heat issues. Its damage output is not great. It's not phenomenal. Yeah, go ahead and get this done, Yang. And next episode, we're going to get that Grasshopper refit. It's just far too late in the episode to get going on that right now. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings. And a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. and of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.